Hello again, it's Noob, and here we have a Banham M2002. Very cool lock. I've been watching all sorts of people pick this. Daz Evers, Talan pick, Tumblr, and a bunch of other people as well. Just get an idea about how to pick this. I've been speaking to a friend who's a locksmith as well. Just get some ideas. Now, I did a recent video on this, and that's where I did some raking of this. These can be raked. And you can see that this is actually a dimple lock. The key is reversible, and you've got 6 rows of pins either side. If you look down the keyway here, so I believe that this is like an anti-pull escutcheon. But here you can see, just get the light in there a little bit more, you might be able to just make out that there are opposing pins that are centered down the middle of the lock. So you can see here there's a set of pins, so one on the left and one on the right. There we go. Now these are very strange because you've got the body of the lock, you've got an inner sort of a middle sleeve, if you like, and then you've got the inner core. If you take these first two out, the middle and the inner and the middle, this lock will still remain locked and won't be able to turn the inner core until the key is inserted, just due to the way that it works. It's a very interesting mechanism. You've got these opposably sprung pins of different lengths with springs. They meet in the middle, but one of them is always overset, so the tail of the pin is being pushed into this middle sleeve, if you like. There's holes here, so the pins go through the inner into a hole here, and you've always got one which is underset, and they alternate throughout the lock depending on the bitting. I'll show you the key in a minute, you'll see what I mean. So to pick one of these, what you need to do is you apply tension. That will bind the pin which is overset, so it'll bind it between the inner and the middle sleeve. And what you need to do is you need to then push the, and that will feel solid, it'll feel bound. So you push the one which isn't bound, which is counterintuitive, which will free up space for this overset pin to move into the position which is left. But to do that, you have to counter-rotate the lock under tension, because the spring isn't strong enough to push the bound pin out of the way until you release the tension a little bit. And then, as long as you haven't overset the previously underset pin, you should be able to turn the core and get open when all of the 6 opposing pairs are picked appropriately. It's it's tricky. It's a tricky lock, but it's also kind of fun. Let's have a look at this key, and you can see here that we've got a range of different bittings and holes in the middle, and the holes are there because the points of the pins actually touch through the key. Well, not quite always, but that's what the key's designed for. So you can see that at the top here, this would mean that one pin was closer to the left hand side, and the right hand side pin actually extends further into the keyway, so it doesn't meet in the middle anymore. This bitting here at the tip is more central. You can see that the bittings are not too dissimilar. This one's a little bit bigger than this one, but other than that, not too dissimilar. And again, so you can see that the pins would meet somewhere in the key in a bit of a zigzag pattern, depending, of course, on the bitting of the key. It's a very cool lock, and it works surprisingly smoothly. It really does. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a go at picking this and then gutting it, which is a bit arduous. Before I do, I was going to go through a couple of ways. I've seen lots of ways to pick this. Somebody showed me that you can actually get in one of these sort of auto style tensioners, which is kind of cool, and you can, and that gives some really good keyway control if you're going to counter rotate. But I find that these are so strong, they push down between the inner and the middle sleeve, and actually you kind of lose some of the subtlety of turning it, I find, because the actual turning tool pushes down and sort of reduces the increases the friction between the inner and the middle sleeve. Another thing is that to test whether the pins are set or not, you would put in a pick and test whether you can actually get the pick between them. If they are completely set in their correct position, both of them won't be able to move. There won't be any room to move them because they'll be set with the pins not entering the in a middle sleeve at all. So you don't have that sort of 2-ish millimeter movement that you might get on one of the pins. So they should feel quite solid. Now, this is one of my favourite flags, and I've marked it off to each pin position. The problem is it's so thin at the tip, there we go, that you find that it will sometimes slip between the pins even when they're set, so it wasn't so good. Now, somebody showed me that they had modified one of these strange tools, which a number of people said are actually a bypass tool, not a dimple flag. And even though it's really blunt, I find that actually it's still thinner than the amount of leeway the pins give you when they're not set. And yeah, it just seemed to work for me. So I'm going to be using this tool, unmodified. And to tension it, I've got a 2mm pry bar, which is, I wish it was like 2.1, but it will do. And I can still just use it sort of top of the keyway or even bottom of the keyway if I have to. But, you know, whichever one will work, it will work and it'll be fine. And yeah, I guess we'll have a go at picking it now. Okay, so we're in the vise. Here is that lovely key. Works butter smooth, cam's working as it should do. Bit of tension at the top, and then go through. And we will drop some pins as we go. It's bound to happen. But the first part, just find out pin 1. And what happens with pin 1 is you can put the pick in under some tension, and it will go up between those two pins. Then you just push in and counter rotate. It might pinch those the pick, in which case you know you've got it solid, and then you go on to the next one. This is 2. Sort of feels fine at the moment. There you go, just click 2 a little bit there. So 1's fine, 2 feels fine, 3 now. Yeah. Yep, 3. Ooh, 4. Interesting. Oh, hear that click? I think that's 4. Do we drop 1? We did, I think. Yep. 1. 2's now resetting. 2, 3, 4. 5. 6. 6 doesn't feel quite there. Maybe we can help it. Okay, so we're missing somebody here. I think it's 1. I think it's 2. I think it's 3. 4 definitely. Check we haven't dropped anything. We have dropped 2. 4. 5. 6. Okay, so back to the beginning. Nothing 1. 2 isn't set. Now I think it is. But 1 isn't now. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there. So 6, 5 feels fine. 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's going to wriggle the tension a little bit. Sometimes you overset things, and I'm just trying to find where it's 4, I think. There we go. I'm just going to pulse that tension again. The reason I'm doing that is so you can overset some pins without meaning to, and just like standard pin tumblers, one isn't set. Oh, also some tension. Stay there. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4 isn't set yet. 5, 6, 6. Okay, that feels pretty good. So just pulse that tension, holding it a little bit. We've got it open yet? Not quite. Who's holding us back? Don't know, so just going to keep pulsing that tension until two. Sorry, 654. 3, 2. Feels pretty good actually, so I'm surprised we haven't got it open yet. 4, 3, 2, 1. So yeah, I think we might have an open. I just need to give it a tap maybe. There we go, we got an open. Look at that. Sometimes the pins just hang up a little bit on the inside, so yeah, that can happen. And when you feel that they're all set like that, that's when you go, okay, so you know, I'm confident that it's open. I just need to, if anything's caught up, just a tiny amount, you know, can I just give it a couple of taps, give it a little wiggle, and see if it opens up? And it did. So let's get on with the gutting of this, which is absolutely awful in every way. So let's have a look here. I've got sort of a beating block type thing here as well, which will come useful in a second. I've got some, yep. So that's a bit we just picked. In fact, I'm going to turn it back because we don't need, you can see it's fully picked now. Turn it back like that. So it locks back up, and undo this little screw and pop that in here. And then there's another one on the inside because, you know, why not? And then there's a little pin which you tap out. And by the way, very important, if you do these locks, there's a little hole that attaches to the center part of the lock, and if you get that wrong and you screw it in, you can crimp the core and you ruin your lock. Yeah, you don't want to do that. But once that's done, there's nothing really stopping this whole thing from popping out like this. And this is just a sheath, if you like. You can see that little, sometimes there's some little wafers that pop out here. I imagine they might be part of a master wafer system, but we don't need those. There's only one, so yeah, not much going on there. But you can see that this is absolutely the whole lock, really. It won't turn unless you put the whole key in. And you should be able to see that, let's try and get some focus for you. Can you see, where are we? So here's an overset pin there, and you can see some underset pins here. And if you look this side, you see that's underset, isn't quite coming up to this side. And you see that they are just, some of these pins are literally blocking the keyway, and like this one's blocking this keyway from this side, and this one is as well. And then you've got some which are underset. They like I said, they're opposed pins, and it's a very strange mechanism. When you put the key in like this, you'll see them all align beautifully. My autofocus is just driving me mad at the moment. And yes, you can see how they fully align and allow the lock to open. Take the key out, they just move a little bit out and in either side, and yep, can't open it at all. Yeah, fascinating. Anyway, undoing this is horrific, and putting it back together is going to be really awful as well. But we'll try our best. So you've got to get rid of this little half moon thing, which, there we go. It's a bit annoying to pull out. Come here, you. And we put that in the little pot thing, and then this will slide out. And you don't need a shim, but you do need the key, because it won't slide out because of the offset pins, and they will shoot out on springs both sides. It is awful. So I'm just going to move this to one side, turn it like this, and we're going to go left, right, all the way up here. So you need to gently pull this out until you've exposed, yep, these bits, and just hopefully dump the retaining ring and springs and pin on one side, and do the other on this side, and hope for the best. There we go. And then repeat all the way down. It's yeah, it really is something. And you really don't want to lose any of these bits if you can help it. It's not fun. And these locks, even without keys, even second hand, are eye-wateringly expensive. And I have just dropped a little bit, but I found it. Like I said, really don't want to lose any of these bits at all. And the pin, we can look at all these pieces in a minute. This is actually really clean inside. It makes me think this lock was never really used. Here we go. Putting this back together is going to be even worse, I imagine. And here we go, like that. I think that's all she wrote. Okay. Phew. That was something. Okay, so here is and again, got to manually do the focus for you. We can see here, there's the key. You can see how you've got some of these bits of the key. You can see the dimples go down. Some of them, the dimples are very shallow. You can see how the chambers would hold these pins in to the middle. And let's just take some opposing pins and pop them in. So this is on the left hand side, like that, and that would sit like this. And then on the right hand side, here's a shorter one, and that would go in like, come here, that, there you go. And that's how they would sort of, see, that's them both proud, and then as the key goes into the right bitting, they drop back in. Oh, dropped him a bit wonky there. Where is my, oh, I've got a little ball bearing, which is also part of the whole thing, and I can't remember where that sits, but it shouldn't take me long to find. And I've got a little ring there as well, I'll put that there. But yeah, these pins are kind of cool. So yeah, so you've got a combination of sort of long and short. Whatever we've done with the other long one. Have I lost it? I don't know. Can't have lost it. Can't have gone far. We'll find it. Anyway, so just looking at these pins, you'll see that they are very small, and some of them are security pins. So here's an example of one which you can just see at the end. It's got like a little spooling on, so it's like a spool pin version. Some are standard. The longer they are, the more they might have some of those security features. There's another spooled version. Kind of cool. Need to put it back in the right chamber. Where are you? I've got no idea where that went. I think that goes in here, maybe. I'll figure it out. And then I've probably got a spring that's gone astray like that. There's another spring that's gone astray like this. It really is a bit of a pain, this whole lock, to put together. So everybody needs a little retaining clip. Everybody needs a spring like that. And all the pins need to align. but it is nonetheless super, super cool, if a little bit overcomplicated. So is it an easy pick? No, not really. It's not for beginners, but I think any intermediate to advanced picker should definitely try one of these locks if you can get one for a good price. They're an interesting mechanism, and reverse picking the pins is kind of fun. It's a different technique and quite enjoyable. I will probably try to put this back together on my side channel, Side Noob, and I'll leave a link to it below. If you like this video, please leave a like. If you want to see more videos of me picking and gutting, doing reviews, please consider subscribing, really helps me out. And of course, I'll see you all next time.